something terrible was lingering in my mind. I had come over 1,000 miles to a land of the kind I'd never seen before. I'd made friends with fellow bikers, crashed into a bush, got stuck in the mud, and got lost on a Spanish hillside. But with every further mile that I travelled, I knew I was extending my journey back. If I continued west along the Spanish trails, the only sensible return journey would be up through central Spain, and it was there that the weather was at its coldest. The lack of power in the CRF 300 means it struggles to get up hills at speed, and while I rode to catch up to Fabi and Mo, I confused this with the continuation of the issues with the bike's clutch. This, combined with the prospect of getting myself home in time for work, meant I made the decision to mark this as my turning point and begin the journey home. I said goodbye to my German friends. My plan was to head up along the coast where it was warmer. But first, there was somewhere I wanted to visit again. On New Year's Eve, I woke up at a hotel near the Garaffi Desert, which I passed through with Barry and Mo. As I rode out to the trail, the temperature was only a degree above freezing, and soon my hands were frozen. Bizarrely, the temperature would soon shoot up to almost 20 degrees. When I had reached the section of the trail that could be named as a desert, it was obvious. I stopped to look around and soon forgot about my frozen hands. Look at this beautiful thing, and look where I am. I've never seen anything like this before. Apparently we're in Europe still, and what's crazy is I can see this, which looks like a desert of some sorts to me, and then I look over there and in the distance I can see snow. That is Sierra Nevada, and this is the Garaffi Desert.
Ando puerta.
This is all you?
Sí. Buen día. Feliz año.
Gracias. With the desert completed, it was time to head back. In search of some recognition of the new year, I visited Murcia for the night and watched some fireworks. And then my 2024 started with the challenge of getting home. What is there to say about riding on the motorway? It's important to wear earplugs, that's for sure. If you listen to music, it needs to be music you already know well. Whatever you can hear through the earplugs and the deafening wind is only a suggestion of a song, a distant beat, a vague vocal. You need to fill in the gaps. Meanwhile, my off-road tires screeched wildly and continuously. I found the first hour of each day went by quite quickly as I amused myself with looking at the cars, the signs, the landscape. Then my thoughts wandered, and I recalled old memories or made hopeful plans for the future. But then there was only the road, and the wind, and how far it is until something exciting happens, like maybe changing to a different motorway. The less said about the discomfort in the CRF seat, the better. I wore cyclist gel shorts and had an Airhawk seat cushion. This extended the time until the pain came, but when it came, there was no getting rid of it. In the north of Spain, I came off the motorbike and tried to wring out more adventure from my trip by returning to the trails. But after 15 minutes, I realized the truth. My trip had already finished back there in that desert. In Travels with Charlie, John Steinbeck writes that the lifespan of a journey is varied and unpredictable. Some journeys only start after the traveler has already left home and continue long after he returns. If you've watched my first film, The Off-Road to Monaco, it will be of no surprise to you that I am still living that journey. It was my first trip of this nature and was therefore filled with the kind of childlike fear and joy that comes when you are doing something scary for the first time. Any time since that I have felt that feeling, I am taken back to those mountains in the Alps where I held on for dear life over loose rocks and steep drops. Remembering this never fails to bring a smile to my face. But Steinbeck also writes of another kind of journey which ends promptly while the traveler is still yet to return. Like Mr. Steinbeck and his journey across America, I tried to bring my trip back to life after it had ended and discovered it was impossible. Riding off-road now did nothing for me. I only felt annoyed at having to navigate the terrain and an impatience to get back onto the road, where I could suffer my miserable journey home in peace. If this is coming across as overly depressing, I make no apology for that. I will always tell you the truth, dear viewer, and the truth was I rode that motorway back to London in a kind of drunken stupor. In total, it took me 4 days, and for £1 million I couldn't recall where I stayed each night or what I thought about. By the time I reached Calais and the Eurotunnel train home, I was a broken man. In summer, the train is full of bikers. Here, in winter, I stood in that carriage alone and wondered what had compelled me to take this trip. The endless hours on the motorway had drilled out any of the good memories I had formed from my journey. But perhaps this is why I take the time to record these adventures. As I go through the footage, I find that I experience the trip for a second time. We are only a collection of our memories, and memories are strengthened when we relive them. When I arrived in London, it was already dark, and as a reward for surviving 1,500 motorway miles, the gods opened their heavens and greeted me with a storm. But it's not that memory that I think of when I remember this trip. I remember a sky so clear it went on forever, a sun that stretched a palette of gold across its canvas. And I remember this look on Mo's face right here when we realized we had spent an hour battling deep mud and could have easily taken the next turn and gone around. It's moments like these that make it all worth it. It wasn't that I was with friends, it was that I was with friends I'd made along the way. And after only a day, we had shared this moment together and became the Mud Kings. And if you've watched along this far, thank you. Those of you who have offered words of encouragement through YouTube comments should know I find each one to work as fuel for me to keep creating. What a time that we live in, where I am able to take such trips, capture them, mold them into a story, and share them with you.